Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into, well, a really fascinating biography. It's a career path that's maybe less a smooth line and more like a series of earthquakes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at this actress and comedian, successful one, who kind of fought her way through early Hollywood, landed a pretty iconic TV role.
And then suddenly finds herself right in the middle of a major presidential campaign, completely different world.
Exactly. It's like three worlds colliding.
Yep.
The ambition of starting out, the weird bubble of a hit comedy show, and then bam, hardcore modern politics.
So our mission today, using the source material we've got, is really to pull out the lessons here. What does it tell us about sticking it out, about maybe the stranger side of Hollywood, and the personal cost when these public worlds just crash together?
Yeah, the cost seems huge.
I mean, the scale of that shift is just wild. You go from literally just mouthing words silently in a party scene somewhere
Just trying to get that day's pay.
to needing, like, Secret Service bomb sweeps at your house. How does anyone even process that kind of change? Let's start at the beginning, those hungry years.
Right. The sources really don't glamorize the start at all. Driving from Orlando, Florida to L.A. in, what was it, a beat-up Toyota Tercel?
Yeah, with an ex-boyfriend, no less. And then just hitting that wall of trying to find any work.
It wasn't just acting work either. She talks about how even getting a job bartending or waitressing was incredibly tough.
Because everyone there is an aspiring actor or writer, right? So those fallback jobs are super competitive, too. You couldn't even count on that.
Exactly. And her first sort of big break, back in Florida actually, kind of highlights this weirdness. She played an evil scientist on the Swamp Thing TV show.
Oh, I remember reading about this scene. The death scene was apparently really dramatic.
Totally. Clutching her chest, dying because she thinks she hears the phantom beeping of her stepfather's life support machine,
Oh,
which was unplugged.
wow. And that moment convinced her she was ready for LA? Like, okay, stardom awaits.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But then LA hits different. The reality was much more grinding. The sources get into the life of a background actor, an extra.
And this is where you get those counterintuitive skills you need, like acting like you're talking.
Making eye contact,
Yeah.
taking turns like a real conversation.
But you can't make a single sound.
Not a peep. Professional silence, basically. And she also mentioned that weird silent clapping thing.
Oh, yeah. Where crowds in movies look like they're applauding wildly.
But they're just waving their hands around so the sound guys can get clean audio, be seen, not heard. Literally.
That pressure, being professionally silent, must have been such a contrast to the internal stuff she was dealing with. She said she spent a whole year just bartending
A fully
before she even sent out one headshot. One. Because she was terrified that getting rejected by everyone would just break her. End the dream right there.
That's a huge mental block. I think a lot of creative people face that. The source says the breakthrough for her was realizing her self-worth couldn't depend on whether some agent decided to sign her or not.
Right, it had to be internal.
And once she got that, the hustle kicked in. Like,
Yeah.
seriously kicked in. There's that story about the Nancy Kerrigan TV movie role.
Oh, this is wild. Her agent wasn't submitting her. She thought she was perfect for it. So what does she do?
She puts her own headshot and resume in an envelope,
Uh-huh.
slaps a Post-it note on it saying, "You should see her for Nancy,"
Okay.
and then puts her agent's return address on it without telling them.
Whoa, wait. Using the agent's actual address. That's risky. Couldn't she get fired for this?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
If they'd found out before the audition, probably. It just shows how, I guess, broken parts of that system must have felt, forcing her to pull a stunt like that just to get seen.
It really shows the audacity you needed. And the agent actually called her later, all excited about this audition. They thought they got her.
Huh. That's amazing.
She didn't get the part, but still. That kind of, I don't know, self-belief mixed with sheer nerve, that seems key to surviving the next part, the darker side.
Yeah, because the sources don't shy away from how predatory Hollywood could be. She talks about this really uncomfortable encounter with James Tobac, the director and writer.
Right, the Bugsy writer.
Yeah.
Her agent pushed her to meet him late on a Friday night in his hotel room. Already some red flags there.
Definitely. But what's crucial, and she was smart about this, was the prep. She felt weird enough about it that she told friends to wait for her downstairs in the Polo Lounge. Gave them the room number, told them if they didn't hear from her in 30 minutes, knock. Hard.
Smart, a necessary safety net.
And she needed it. Tobac apparently starts asking these super invasive, just bizarre questions, including, do you have a lot of body hair?
Wow, okay, yeah.
And then the weirdest part, insists that she needs to take off one boot. Just one. To, step out of her comfort zone.
One boot. That's the signal right there, isn't it? Just
Well,
bizarre.
totally bizarre. And then, thankfully, the knock comes.
Her friends?
Yep. They burst in.
Yeah.
And apparently improvise this great line like, "Where's your boot? Get your boot. We're going."
Oh my gosh. It's horrifying, but also kind of cinematic in a grim way. And we should note, Tobac was later sued by, like, dozens of women, right? Similar stories, often involving a foot fetish.
Yeah, that context is important.
Yeah.
But surviving that low point makes her eventual big break on Curb Your Enthusiasm feel even more significant. From potential danger to, like, creative freedom.
A total turning point.
Yeah.
And that came about because someone saw her performing a sketch. The Curb audition itself was super unconventional.
Right, it wasn't even called Curb yet. Just untitled Larry David special. No script. All improv.
Based on her sketch work. And the specific sketch that got Larry David's attention.
The infamous one. The safety seminar character who just keeps insisting.
If push comes to shove, you can drink your own urine.
That's the one. Apparently when she walked into the audition, Larry David just went, "Oh, the urine girl is here."
Huh, perfect. And her time on Curb was so unique, too. 12 seasons, but spread over, 24 years?
Yeah, non-consecutive. Because Larry David only worked when he felt inspired, basically.
Which sounds amazing. And she confirms, the Larry David you see on screen, that's pretty much him.
Smart, funny, yeah, but also, neurotic. Though apparently very caring to people close to him.
So she reaches this point of stability, creative freedom, which makes the next big shift just incredibly jarring. Let's jump ahead to when her private life basically slams into the public political world.
Right. She'd actually met her future husband, Robert Kennedy Jr., years before. Through Larry David, actually.
At a waterkeeper event, one of his environmental things. And her first impression wasn't political at all. She called him
a pleated khakis guy.
Yeah, just some guy in khakis. No hint of the storm to come.
Which makes this shift during the COVID era so much more intense. RFK Jr. suddenly went from being this, environmental lawyer guy to...
super prominent and, well, let's just say really controversial on the national stage.
Hugely controversial. And that blowback hit her life, her career, her friendships almost immediately.
She talks about how tough it was in LA's monochromatic political scene, as she put it. Colleagues literally telling her, "You have to stop him."
Like it was her job to control his views. And she describes this kind of breakdown in logic she saw.
Yeah, the confusion over the vaccine debate stuff. Her point was basically, if the vaccine works for you, why does my husband's choice matter to your health?
Right. But according to the source, the response wasn't logical. It was more emotional. Just this refusal in certain circles to tolerate any dissent on that topic.
The source uses some really strong language here. She talks about observing what she called a genocidal mindset.
Whoa, okay. That's incredibly strong phrasing. Genocidal mindset. What's the context there in the source? Is it about literal harm, or is it describing that intense social punishment?
It seems more about the social punishment, the tendency to punish the spouse, the relative, the friend, just because they're connected to someone whose views the establishment hates.
Okay. Like guilt by association taken to an extreme?
Exactly. She mentions a friend actually hoping Melania Trump can't do anything after an election, purely because of who she married, that kind of deep intolerance.
And this directly impacted her work, right?
Yeah.
There were reports people in Hollywood were hesitant to hire her because of her husband.
Yeah. That's where the personal cost gets really concrete. And it wasn't even about her politics initially.
Which leads into the security stuff.
Yeah.
She said her biggest fear about him running for president wasn't actually the politics.
No, it was the safety aspect. Pure fear, given the assassinations of his father and his uncle, that history looming over them.
Absolutely primal fear. And yet the Biden administration denied him Secret Service protection for months.
Way longer than usual for candidates like Obama, for example. The source suggests there might have been a cynical strategy at play.
From the opposition, you mean?
Yeah, reportedly trying to force the campaign to spend its money on lawsuits and private security just to bleed their funds dry.
Wow. And the dangers weren't just theoretical, were they? The source details some scary incidents.
Extremely real. An armed man arrested at a rally, pretending to be a federal agent. And then an intruder caught climbing the fence at their actual home.
On their back fence. At night. That's terrifying. That's not politics. That's a direct threat to your family.
Absolutely. And the way protection finally got approved is just bizarrely political.
It only happened after Donald Trump publicly posted that RFK Jr. should have it, right?
Exactly. The pressure seemingly came from the political opponent.
And then the actual protection rollout was absurd. It was only for Bobby.
Yes. So she and the kids could be in the house unprotected for days. But then before Bobby arrived home, they'd have to do bomb sweeps.
That makes no sense from a safety perspective. It's just following the letter of some politically motivated order, not the reality of protecting a family. The stress must have been immense.
Unbelievable stress. She talks about meeting Trump eventually, shortly after his own assassination attempt. Her expectation, she said, after years in Hollywood was horns, sulfur.
Like meeting the devil himself.
Right. But she found him genuine, surprisingly, and willing to listen. But that whole period, the danger, the scrutiny, it took a physical toll.
Yeah, she developed hives. Her lips swelled up so badly she ended up in the ER. Just pure stress manifesting physically.
Wow.
And looking back at the whole vaccine debate, she describes it as feeling almost religious. That's why it was so hard to find common ground.
She made that point on The View, apparently, asking basically, why are parents attacked if they report an adverse reaction?
Why can't both sides just acknowledge that vaccine injuries do happen? I mean, the federal government itself has a program, the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program.
Which has paid out, what, over $5 billion?
Talk $5.4 billion, according to the source. But that fact, that official data, just couldn't seem to cut through the orthodoxy. She saw it.
So at the end of all this roller coaster ride from Florida hopeful to Hollywood star to political lightning rod, what's the big takeaway for her?
The source says it really boils down to family and love. That's the anchor. Losing friendships over politics, even decades-long ones, was incredibly painful.
I can only imagine.
But she learned, she says, to appreciate what they had and then move on without anger. And she also, unexpectedly, became an expert in things like campaign finance law and D.C. bureaucracy.
Stuff she never planned to learn.
Not at all. But she found that even people in those tough D.C. jobs are, for the most part, genuinely trying to do what they think is best. Continuous learning, even when it's forced on you.
So this deep dive really gives us a glimpse into, well, 3 pretty intense worlds. The reality of making it in Hollywood, the shocking speed at which political intolerance can wreck personal lives, and the, frankly, terrifying aspects of presidential security today.
Definitely. And that leads us to our final provocative thought, circling back to her idea of the conflict feeling religious. The source material really makes you wonder. Have certain beliefs, maybe around things like mandatory vaccination, move beyond science into something more sacred, complete with strict rules about what you can say, and punishment for those who question it, the heretics, and even their families.
So if questioning a medical procedure, even using official government data, gets treated like heresy instead of just a question, does that mean we've shifted, moved away from rational debate towards something more like, I don't know, ritual compliance?
That's the question the source leaves us with.
Yeah.
Definitely something worth thinking about long after we finish here.